Where do we start? Alright, so boom. First off, we have to start this by giving all praise and honor to the Most High Lord God, Jesus Christ. And who I'm married today is not her. Number two, everything I explain in this video is to my doing and consent, meaning that I played a part in this and chose to go with it. Pastor's kid, but I'm a Haitian pastor's kid, so that's ×2 already. Now, I met her back in high school, and I knew her pretty well. She was like my fashion buddy, and honestly, we got really tight, because we'd always chop it up on the phone on FaceTime. We would kick it, get some bubble tea, always keep in touch. Really good vibes. Now, I started going to school a little bit farther away from the city, about an hour away, and one day I get a random call from her. It's random because usually we just text and then get on the phone, but she calls me. She's like, I'm gonna be near you. I'm not thinking much of it. So Shorty pulls up, she comes, and I'm like, well, what are you doing up here? This is about like an hour and a half outside the city. There ain't nothing out here. And she's like, I'm just running an errand. So Shorty just lackadaisically starts coming around me more instead of us having link-ups. I was never the cool kid, so I didn't really know cues and how to pick up on things. My bro's like, yo, bro, Shorty's feeling you. Like, you got it. I never really saw that in that way because we always was like, cool. She would talk to me about her man. She was in a relationship, so I respected that. So damn, I'm like, dang, okay. So she pulls around. I asked her, put her on the spot. She was like, yeah, I kind of like fake like it. But I'm like, don't you got a man? She was like, don't worry about that. We broke up. Should have been a yellow flag. The church I was attending at the time, my pastor's probably watching this. Because I was an hour and a half out, I stopped going so regularly and frequently. And so I was outside the community. I was a sheep away from the flock. Even though she's wearing like the Buddha beads, she got like, the evil eye necklaces. She like got all the things on. I'm like, you believe in God, right? You believe there's a heaven and a hell, right? Yep. Good enough for me. And so without anyone being able to put me in check, we started just really seeing each other. She started sleeping over more at the school in the dorms. And what radically changed was not only how she treated me, but everyone else around me. The amount of money she would have on her and would spend was a little bit off-putting. But those dots wouldn't connect until a little bit later on. But if I'm gonna give this story proper with all the details, I gotta make sure that everyone can see this. I'm limited to 3 minutes, but that's why I made a YouTube video so you could just watch it in one go. Or just stay tuned for part 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. I'm gonna be dropping them back to back to back to back to back to back. Cause it's giving public repentance and exactly how I started this whole journey of becoming a coach and helping other men be freed of the same thing I got caught up with. All right, so now we start seeing each other. We aren't sleeping together yet. None of that happens. Now, while we're in school, she's coming up. She's buying stuff for everybody. It'd be like, all right, it's time to order some pizza. It's time to, eat. The fellas is hungry. Because I was in a dorm room, but my setup was janky. I'm not going to hold you. I would sleep out in the foyer, and I'd had a futon. The bros really blessed me. But in each dorm, was 3-dorm suite. There was 2 dudes per dorm. So it was 6 dudes. I was the 7th man of the year, right? Because I was like, I just want to stay for free. Bro, she'd be ordering food for all 7 of us. 7, including herself. And I'm like, were we like 21, 22 max at the time? And I'm like, where are you getting this bread from? And at the time, she said she was a manager at one of those high-end boutiques, like a Saks or, one of those stores. And so I was like, all right, that kind of checks out. But how do you have so much bread all the time? Like, she pull out these wads of cash. And, she doesn't really believe, okay, sometimes she has some money in the bank, but that's neither here nor there. Peep this, right? When it came down to gifts, Shorty always had a gift. Shorty was always around, always available. And so as long as she wasn't in work, it was almost like a dude's dream come true of like, wow, you buy me food, you cool with my bros like you. Of course, I started getting more and more sprung. This is like the first 30, 60 days. You're hired, you're staying around for sure. So now I'm enamored, I'm infatuated. And so now we start sleeping together. And that was an interesting experience. And without getting too explicit, I just remembered it was a very sensitive thing for her of navigating her sexuality and being comfortable in her body. And I think it really softened me up even more of pouring more into it. Cause it's I thought, she's just confident. She always got money. She always moving how she want like a boss. She just full of everything of herself, but she wasn't. So it was okay, there's these real humane moments. We actually bonding. And now, so I'm out of community. Now we sleeping together. We up at the school. And then the first pregnancy scare comes. Out of the whole span of the relationship, I'll save you the rendition, but she got pregnant in a total of 4 times. And we were together for a year. no longer than a year or 2 months. It wasn't even that long of a relationship, but everything that happened in between it was a lot. So now remember the first pregnancy, she just like, without even thinking or talking about it, she was like, I'm getting rid of it. So I'm just like, okay, I mean, I barely know you. We're not really together. Shouldn't even be, doing this. So get rid of it. Was I strapping up? I was at first, and then I was just a horny young man. I didn't want to strap up no more. Stupid of me. Stupid of me. And so now, first pregnancy, she just like goes, gets it done, and I'm thinking like, okay, cool, you just did that. Okay, we good. So we continue as life per usual. Now we're getting a little bit more serious. We're at month 5 or 6, but things get more fishy because the story starts getting a bit, murky. Like, not only is she like buying all these things, but then I believe my birthday comes around, or it was Christmas. My birthday is in January, Christmas is in December. But the gifts that she got me were like unreleased, like Nike products, or some Nike products that were very hard to get your hands on. And she was saying that she had a plug at Nike, and this plug at Nike was hooking her up. The reason why these are significant details is because these are all things that slowly began to unravel as the story goes on. And so pretty much, she just copped it. She just got it. Now, she's buying these things. Things are getting more expensive. Nothing too crazy. She got me some jewelry, some real jewelry from a jeweler for my birthday. And then we started planning spring break in Miami. Her dad lives in Florida. And she flew out me and my boy, my good, very good mans, while we were in school together, flew both of us out to Florida. This story is exactly how I birthed my daily deposit system, learning the proper alignment of life so that you can actually be consistent and disciplined, break free from lust and your procrastination issues so that you can make it to the gym, live a healthier life, and live within alignment. And yes, this is my version of an ad because this is literally what my business is about, solving this. And so if you want to learn more and this sounds similar to your story, or knowing that this is something that you're capable of, just DM me the word change and I'll send you a breakdown. I paid for his ticket, right? And so now it's really showing out. But at the time, I'm just enjoying the fruits of my labor. We're smashing. She's paying for everything. It's like there's not really much I could really ask for. It has all the things that would keep me blind. But now the second pregnancy scare happens, right? And this one was like a little bit of, oh shoot, all right, what do we do? It was a little bit more of a conversation. And that's when I was like, okay, I don't know how comfortable I feel just like doing another. Then we started weighing out the options. So it turns out we decided it was best not to have it. So that's 2. Now spring break, it's April. She buys more stuff. Things are piling in. Now she meets my parents because I'm like loving her. I'm loving this whole experience of getting what I want, being treated almost like king treatment. But all along the way, while this is all happening externally, internally, I'm not thinking of anything. I'm not going to church as often as I was. I wasn't staying connected to community. I started working my dream job super young, and so I'm working digital marketing in the financial district, so that's like Wall Street in New York, and working in that financial industry. And so I had a big boy job. I was already doing well in school. And so I started living this fantasy where I felt like I didn't really need God. If I'm being completely honest, being a pastor's kid, of course I went out and explored, but this was the biggest stray away, biggest backslide, because I had everything I ever wanted. I had a girl who was willing to do whatever, giving me money. It's like life is just good. Of course, you got some like, crappy days with classes, but other than that, I'm like, I have it made. We get to Florida, I meet her dad. That was the only family member in the whole relationship that I met. And from that time on, I just always found it a little bit suspicious. I would ask her really frequently, okay, when am I going to meet your mom? When am I going to meet your brother? I believe I met her sister briefly, but pretty much I met the 2 people in her life that did not mean anything of much substance or value to her. Her sister was older than her, and they didn't have a good relationship. But her brother, who had like the keys to her heart, her mom, she loved her mom, OD. And so I never really got to meet them. And I always was a question, was like, why not? I got put up, like, yeah, I'm gonna set it up, never got set up. And so after that spring break trip, we come back, and that's when a 3rd pregnancy happened, and I told my family. That's when I was like, all right, like, I can't keep doing this. I told my family, and she was really afraid. She was really super scared, but I was like, I'm still a Christian. Like, I have these values. My family was like, sheesh, like, you grown. You did grown man things, so now you have to take care of it. My brother was the only one I was really honest with, where I was like, hey man, I think I'm not gonna go through with it. I think I'm just gonna get rid of it. And he was just vehemently, he was pleading, he was sending me videos. He showed me a video of Lecrae talking about abortion. He fought for that baby. I think I really pray that God rewards him because he did everything. But at the end of the day, there was too much fear in me, and I didn't have enough certainty. As good as my life was, that I wanted to like fully commit to all of this. But where things are really gonna pick up is this 4th pregnancy. All the details are in this 4th pregnancy because that's when the shift happens. I don't know if mentally, emotionally something snapped after that third, but during the fourth one, when it turns out she had twins, that's when an engagement happens. That's where so much more unravels that she was just keeping in the whole time. And I'll say that in the next part. I'll never forget the day. I'm at work chilling. Text me, I'm pregnant with twins. I said twins. I want to understand. Actually, let me backtrack. She didn't say it. She sent a sonogram. Like she tested it on the stick, right? Pregnant. I'm like, okay, dang, I really did that again. But when she showed the sonogram and it said baby A and baby B, I said, yeah, we're in trouble. Twins, two of them? No. One of them I was already trying to conceptualize and understand life, but two, now I'm like, okay. And this is where things really get wicked and really get very, very tricky. So now I'm of course having an anxiety panic attack for sure. I can't send a double return to sender. I'm like, we definitely keeping them. Foot is definitely on the floor. Now I'm I'm planning out life. I had to tell everybody I knew. I had to tell my family. I had to tell people at church. I mean, I never came back to church and Christ so hard in my life because I'm like, I'm going to need everyone and everybody. And so throughout the whole time, she lost employment, right? So she lost her job, and then all of a sudden, her relationship with her mom went a little sour. So she got kicked out. She's pregnant with twins. She gets kicked out by her mom, and now my pregnant girlfriend is in the streets. So I'm like, I gotta do something. So I basically told my Haitian parents, bro, they're not Persian, they straight out of Haiti. I had to tell them, like, can she stay with us? Mind you, we live in a 1 bedroom apartment. My parents live in the bedroom. At the time, it was my cousin and her daughter sleeping in the living room, and we cut the living room in half. We had a rideau, a curtain to separate it, and I basically lived and slept behind that curtain in a living room cut off. And now I'm asking to bring another person here, and she's pregnant. Oh, buddy. By the grace of God, I don't know what compelled my mom. I thought she would say, no. She said, yes. I'm like, bro, just get in here. Don't ask no questions. And I think that the biggest tension points that started happening was how she treated my mom. Of course, there's a cultural difference, but like, I'm trying to get her hip, and she's not really trying to respect and honor Mama Duke. She's just trying to be polite. And I'm like, bro, you understand the situation that you in? You're not working. Mama Dukes, and now all of a sudden she doesn't have any access to her money. What do I mean by that? I'm gonna break this down to a T. Meaning, the money that she worked for after she lost her job, all of that, she lost a card, right? And ADP at the time, I'm gonna put my brother on blast because he said he had ADP and it happened to him. So I'm explaining to everyone like she doesn't have any money, so now I'm financially supporting her. So because she doesn't have access to her ADP, and it's so impossible to get a new card from them. For these next few months, I'm buying food, whatever it was, I'm paying, and so I'm already becoming a full-fledged husband. That's just the tip of the iceberg. When I turned to community, I just got met head on with men that were holding me accountable. Of like, you just have two choices to make. Either you're going to step up and be the man that you was smashing and grabbing, so you're gonna step up and marry her, meaning you're gonna raise this child, marry her, be in covenant, and do it that way, or you don't have to marry her. You're going to get a nanny. You're gonna make sure that this child is taken care of. You're going to shell out whatever money that's necessary, and you're gonna be in this child's life. They held me to a very high standard. Now I'm thinking like, you know what? Things have been iffy. I don't like it, but this is my ride. This is my ride or die. Maybe it's the pregnancy hormones. I don't know. I still wasn't seeing the writing on the wall, and I decided I'm gonna marry her. So I bought a ring. I forgot even where I got it from. I proposed. Nothing extravagant, right? Nothing crazy because it's I'm still in school. I'm working over 40 hours a week. I'm looking for an apartment. I'm preparing to become a dad. I gained like 40, 50 pounds. I got the dad bod before I became the official dad. And now we're technically engaged. I gave her this ring, and now life is just speeding by. I'm trying to work and make as much money as possible. I'm talking to all these men in my life, like, how do I actually prepare for this? They're telling me I have to try to get some more solid work, because at the time I was at the office, but I was hourly. I wasn't salary. They're like, yo, lock down some salary. So now I'm inquiring how I could do that. They're like, finish school as soon as possible. Then I had advice to just drop out of school. The way that my mind was just in a blur and constant stress, I would just randomly break down because I'm like, what is life right now? She's not giving too much friend, right? So now I'm living in my parents' crib. We still smashing. Even at my parents' crib, I still wasn't getting the point. I'm looking for apartments. I'm doing all this, and it feels like I'm just drowning. Now, where this takes another dip is she says that she's finding a new work, and she's working at Gucci. Why is that funny? It's because because she worked with the high-end brands and boutiques, she said she had a connection because of one of the buyers were from Gucci. Now, this connects also to her trying to help and having that Nike connect. And she also had some social media following, so she was sharing about maybe some potential brand deals that she could get. She even down to went and said she got flown out to LA for some casting for a season of Grownish. Oh my gosh, playing this back is so tough. And she was talking about, meeting Yara Shahidi and the cast and not being able to have too much interactions. The stories were very in detail. I just pray that anyone who lived this through with me comments under so that people can understand what the witching really is, the bewitching of having so many people believe and having to do it so in a persuasive way. Fool me alone is cool alone. Fooling 2, 3, 4, 5 people, 6, 7, like a body full of people. There was women checking up on her. All right, let me get back on track. So finally found the spot. I needed to get more money. I got some money that was loaned to me that I needed to pay back. And so I got a 2-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn, New York for it was pretty affordable. It was a good price. I wish I kept it $2,200. But now this is where support really comes in. People were donating double strollers. They were donating baby stuff. And now we're like month 4 or 5 in. This whole time, she had a couple of doctor's appointments, but because of how my work would line up and I would try to get her to line up these appointments with me instead of, just going by her own, I wasn't able to be there. But she had an NYU Langone app. I saw the name of her OBGYN. I looked up the OBGYN. I made sure a lot of these things checked out. My sister-in-law was also pregnant at the time with my nephew. She was having her first. And so she was just explaining more of the process. And some of the things she found to be weird, she was like, okay, I haven't had that. Maybe it's just different too per practitioners. Now, the foot on the floor was, I was like, I need to be there for one of these appointments. Like, you're sending me these pictures. I'm seeing the app, but I want to be in the room. I make it, right? I leave work. I get to the appointment, and then we get into a full argument in the lobby before she gets admitted for the appointment. And she's like, I really don't feel comfortable with you being in the room. I'm like, I'm the baby's dad. I am your fiance. I'm trying to be your husband. What do you mean you're not comfortable? And she gives me this whole childhood rundown of what her relationship with her mom has been like, and just the trauma that she's ensued with not having a dad in her life, and what these rooms and spaces mean to her. And she would just say, the way that you can love and support me in this moment is not by coming in this room. And so I sat there in the lobby. I saw her go in, saw her come out, and that was it. I never, ever talked to a health professional on my behalf in real time. And for that whole time, I never actually was in the room. But this is the story where it only gets more in detail. And this is exactly why I created the data deposit system, so that this would never be anybody else's story and having to unravel their life. Now getting closer to month 6. We're getting the crib in order. I'm going to Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. I'm picking up furniture. I'm bringing it into the crib. I'm trying to create a home. I'm trying to take care of mine. We got the crib. Things are coming together. I'm cooking. And I'm also still going to work and having school. I'm still trying to juggle all these parts of my life. But I realized that I wasn't truly walking with the Lord. I needed a moment of repentance. I had to come to myself and be honest, like, all right, yeah, just because she's pregnant doesn't mean that you could just continue living this way. If you're going to be a husband and start leading, you be doing it properly. Even though this was birthed out of your own sin, out of your own backsliding, that does not mean it's not too late to make it right. I had some good brothers around me. And so now I'm taking the time to have a tough conversation and just let her know, you know what, I'm actually not going to be living with you here in this apartment anymore. This apartment is for you and our child, but until I am your husband, we cannot continue shacking up. I had to take the responsibility, and that also means no more physical intimacy. I was like, I can't keep going on like this. It will just abuse God's grace. At the time, in between all this, what's been transpiring with her is she's been diving deeper into the church, right? So because of the church community and her having the twins, it gave her a place of support and honestly structure. So there'd be times where I would have to stay at work and make more money, and she would go to Bible study. She would attend the church's Bible study. She would meet with women from the church. She had the pastor's wife number. She would check in with her. And so she started working on her spiritual journey. And from how the relationship started with her smoking, with her being, a casual drinker, the music she listened to, I literally saw her start to change in real time. And eventually, she got baptized at my church. She got baptized. She decided to give her life to Christ. She would have Bible study notes. She'd be going through the word. And I remember telling her, especially during that baptism, of like, hey, like, you don't need to do this. Like, genuinely, especially if you're going to be doing this for me. I did not put her. I actually was like, I really didn't think she should have gotten baptized. I felt like she saw what church was about, but I didn't think that her salvation was taken so personally for herself instead of what everyone she was hanging around and the things that she heard. It was just kind of like a good vibe type of thing. But she did anyway. She made her own decisions, even without me around. I didn't push her to go to Bible study. I didn't. She started doing these things on her own time. And so when I told her about the sex thing, that was like the final straw of like, okay, like I'm not ready to go that deep. But I'm like, you're already doing the thing. You might as well walk it all the way. And so I moved back in with my parents. I moved out, moved back in. After work, I would stay with her for a couple of hours, but then I would go home, sleep in my own bed. She did not take that very well. We'd argue about it. She'd be like, "Why aren't you being intimate with me anymore? Why are we not having sex? Why are you taking that in LA?" And I'm like, "I'm trying to be a man of God." So the dynamic has changed. Now she doesn't feel the same way about me. Now this is getting towards the real crux of the story because now we're about 7 months in. She still hasn't been able to have access to her money. I saw her mom get into a really bad situation where she needed funds for a heart procedure, and somehow she sent her like 8, 9 bands. And that's when I was like, okay, hold up. We over here, I'm on Craigslist Facebook trying to get affordable things to furnish a home. And you sent that for her mom for an emergency, very needed. And her dad paid her back. Her dad sent her the money for that with an extra band. I'm seeing these transactions. So I'm having a conversation like, hey, like, we're together, but like, I need you to be able to help me help us because everything's on my back. And she just reassured me. She's like, yeah. I know like once I get access to my money, I'll give you everything back. And of course, more. It's not that I wanted her to pay me back. It's more so like I'm holding it down for the both of us, which I wasn't even prepared to do, and that is taking everything out of me. So if I could just work less and be less stressed, that would be helpful. He just reassured me. It was like, yeah, I got you, bro. Nothing changed. She reassured me so much, but nothing changed. And so I continue, even though I saw that. I kept running all these red lights. Seeing that she made this transfer, never transferred me any money. The intimacy part, even though she started, spiritual for the church. Then it came to a brand part. I saw a brand deal in her email one day. I remember the morning of work, and this is where I was like, I wish I didn't see this. There was an email that she got an offer to. I opened up the email, her laptop. It looked like she was sending herself these brand deals and then showing it to me. Like she would tell me, oh yeah, I have this potential thing on the way. And then that morning I saw it and it crushed me. I remember bringing it up like, what is this about? And literally, after I saw it that one time, when I brought it up and then like showed her the evidence, I could not find it. Now I'm like, am I being like, I'm not bugging. So now everything is crumbling because now I'm calling her out on it, but I don't have no proof. I have no proof. This is like a court of law. She's like, nah, open it up, not there. So 7 months in, everything is collapsing. I'm at work. This is the height of the story. I'm at work. I'm working. She sends me a picture of a blood clot in her hand. And this blood clot, she's tall. So her hand is almost the size of my hand. I'm 5'11". She's like 6 foot-ish. So the size of this hand. See that? And my stomach drops to the ground. My face turns so pale. I'm black. My face turned so pale. My boss looked at me and said, what's good with you? And he was like, is everything all right? And I'm like, I just slowly shook my head, no. He's like, all right, like, do what you need to do. Go home. Get yourself right because I looked horrible. I rush. I'm in the city. I rushed to Brooklyn, like a 30-minute commute to where she's in the hospital. She went by herself. By the time someone else who was closer to her to get there, they didn't even catch her at the hospital. Instead of staying and getting officially discharged, she just walked out because she's like, I don't like hospitals. And they were saying she has preeclampsia. I'm sorry if I'm saying these things wrong, but like basically complications within the pregnancy that is endangering the baby. Now, I'm like spinning out of control. I'm like, oh my gosh, the babies. Like, are both of them fine? They're checking. They're saying, okay, maybe one of them are fine. This is her words to me. I didn't make it in time. So now I'm bugging out. She's still bleeding vehemently. I'm like, okay, if you're still bleeding for the rest of the week, by the time Saturday comes at the end of the week, I don't have no work, let's just go to the emergency room. Let's get you checked out. While all this is happening, she's acting still so funny. Because I wasn't living or having sex, but she threw my clothes out the window and told me, go get it. Like, I had to go get my clothes. She was throwing tantrum and fits. Now, I just called my pastor because I'm keeping him updated the whole time. Yo, like, she's bleeding. She has a whole blood clot in her hand. He's so silent. He's like, yo, run away. Get away from her now. He's like, whatever you do. Like, he tells me, like, be safe, move smart, but get away from her. And he, it's just different because he talks to someone with kids. He has like 3 kids. He's like, do you know a 7-month baby in the womb looks like? He just pauses. He's like, look it up. I never forget this. I was sitting on the steps in my building to my parents' apartment. I look it up. My heart double drop. I've never had so many heart drops. You know, when a roller coaster, your heart just in your butt, bro. I look it up. I'm like, it's a. You can't. It's impossible. It can be birthed. It has bones. It has structure. There is no way. I'm like, what is going on? So I'm piecing together like, oh, like she's not having a miscarriage. This can't be a miscarriage because she was supposed to be like 13 week, I don't know, 18 weeks, 19 weeks, whatever. It's like 7 months, almost 26 weeks, so 22 weeks pregnant, and you can have the baby by then. That's just a premature baby. He didn't explain all this. I'm piecing this together in my head because when I saw the picture, I was like, ain't no way. He was like, yup. He heard my silence and he knew. He was like, yup. He was like, whatever you do, get away from her and be safe. He said, lock your door, change the lock to your doors, because he met her, he talked to her. There was so many situations in between this where he was just like protecting her as a daughter he should, because my character was still flawed. That's why I take responsibility in this whole story of this is also my decision making. And from that, it had me acting out of character. He had to rebuke me a lot of times because of what I believed was right and how I took care of this situation. And so, for him to say that, I'm like, I need to wake up. So I'm moving scary now. Saturday comes, right? She's bleeding the whole week. She's just chilling. Saturday comes. I go get a haircut. Now I'm acting funny because I'm like, oh, like we're gonna find out what's up if you pregnant, bro. She's acting so weird. She's in a horrible mood. She does not want to go to the hospital. She's making it very known, very adamant. I do not want to go. So I'm like, what's up with you in the hospital? She was like, I don't like hospitals. I'm like, but you were bleeding the whole week. We have to make sure that if we maybe we lost one baby because there's these sacs. Maybe you kept the other one. We have to check to make sure you're okay. She goes with it. But I'm like, that's weird. That is so weird. We get to the hospital. We spend the whole day, the whole Saturday in the hospital. And the whole time she's fidgeting, physically fidgeting. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. And at one point, I was just like, yo, like, sit down. Just chill out. And now, again, I'm acting out of character. I'm being very assertive, being very aggressive of just trying to get her to just take this test. Acting out of character. The test results come back. What'd you think they gave? They gave negative. She's tested negative for pregnancy. And so, a lot of silence. I'm sharing the news with everyone. Of course, there's a part of me that's like, so what does this mean? Like, there's no babies, but what about everything else? Are we still going to get married? Are we going to stay together? What do I do with this apartment? Everything up until this point in my life has been for these babies. And now she tested negative. But what happened to the babies? We get home. He's silent the whole time. She, for the next few days, started wailing. When I say wailing, to this day, I probably never have heard such a gushing cry. It was like a horror cry where even though there was so much confusion and, doubt and fear, I comforted her. She would just sit in the apartment, the lights are off, and there's just big shrieking cry that like rang in my ears. And so eventually, as things, start putting together, a week go by, we start talking about, well, are we still going to be married? Are we still going to be together? And of course, I'm getting advice, and they're just heating me like, just let her know you just need some time to process. Because we don't know who we're dealing with at this point. Like, there's been so much misconception. There's been so much time with people. We don't know what's happening. The things with the Gucci and Nike all fell through. Meaning, she said she was supposed to have this campaign with Gucci. She did it. But when I went to go look at the credits of who was involved in the project, her name was not on there. There were different assistants. She was explaining, oh, yeah, no, it's this. Her name's not on there. She connected me with a Nike contact. I skipped a day of school and work to be able to meet this person. They didn't show up. They emailed like 30 minutes into when we were supposed to be meeting and said that they got sick. I wasn't able to show up. Everything has unraveled. And so now I'm like, I want out. I put so much time, energy, and money into this. I don't want any parts. And so I take the time. I let her know I don't want to be together. This is when she actually starts like the real time manifesting. She starts on some like serpent in the garden telling me all these things that have some ounce of truth to them but are lies about what people say about me. That good man that I mentioned, that he's a part of this story this whole time. He came with us to Florida. He met her from the very first time that we did. Like, I met her when we rekindled this whole thing. He was there the whole time. Bro, she was saying the whole time, he was telling her how I'm fake and she has to watch out for me. This is one of my good mans. I know how he speaks. The certain words that she was saying, I'm like, First of all, he's told me this to my face that he doesn't use that word. He doesn't talk like that. So now we in this heated conversation where she's like, "Oh yeah, I remember seeing a Snapchat of you and laying in another girl's bed. That I was a cheater." She just came for my identity. The same thing that you see in the garden of, as long as we question who we are and whose we are, we're caught. And she had me trying to defend myself and my identity. Bro, I'm heated. And then I don't know, it was like the Holy Spirit came to me and just opened my eyes, and I was like, oh shoot, like I'm falling into this again. Like I'm playing into her hand, like getting heated, defending myself, saying, no, this person didn't say that. Oh, that's not true. I never cheated on you. Like she just came up with a bunch of stuff that she never mentioned over the whole year of the relationship. But now, once I said I didn't want to be with her, I was all of these things out of nowhere. Nowhere. And I'm like, she's trying to get me to stay. So I literally was like, I'm not having this conversation anymore. Good night. I walk out. Bro, all I'm walking out, she's threatening to burn my clothes. She's threatening to throw my clothes out the window. She's threatening with so much. By the time, where I moved was a 7-minute, 8-minute walk away from my parents' crib. When I made it back to my parents' crib, because I still wasn't living with her at the time, no sex, none of that. By the time, she was crying and apologizing. So now I'm seeing this massive mood switch. Massive mood switch. Now I'm like, all right, I don't know what's happening. I know some traumatic stuff happened. I'm trying to hold grace, but I'm like, this is wild. This is crazy. Your emotions are shifting all over the place. You're blaming me. Now you want me back. I'm like, yeah, I'm officially done. I don't say that on the phone. I just console her, hang up. Now, over the next week or two, I let her know, like, we're done, and the apartment is on my name. It's my lease, and pretty much you gotta go. We're not getting married. We're broken up. Have the ring, whatever. She starts packing up my stuff, saying she thought I was leaving. Shorty, the lease is in my name. Why are you packing my stuff up? You gotta go. But now I'm like, oh, she doesn't have anywhere to go. But you're not even giving me money for the rent. And this is also someone with access to all my cards. This is the final unravel. Acting up. She got her stuff. We do like this little like final goodbye type of thing. There are certain gifts that she gave me that she took back. Some of them I hid because I was like, this is too fire. I'm not giving up. You already gave it to me. It's mine now. It's in my crib. And then the last time I seen her, right, I went to go see her to make sure the apartment's good. Like she didn't do nothing crazy. She got her stuff. She was calling the Uber. Bro, she shows me. When I say, bro, I've just never seen so much cash. Show me this, opens her wallet. Wallet is stuffed. Mad hundreds. Blues. Just blues. I'm like, I can't even guess how much, because I've never seen that much cash. I don't care. Like, I see numbers digitally in a bank account, seen like, 5 figures in a bank account. I have never seen like 25, 3 grand just right there. She's telling me, oh, I got access to my card. She was like, look what I got. She was like, I got access to my card. Once I saw that money, I was like, I'm good. I don't want no parts. If I take you back just based off of money, I'm selling my soul. That is not worth my peace. I tell her, I look at the money, I look at her, I'm like, that's good for you. I'm so glad. And so she goes in the Uber, skates away. She told me that she was moving to Florida to live with her dad. That was the last thing she told me. Her mom are still not in good notes. She had all her stuff. She went away. Bro, the next updates that I'm getting are the most wildest things I've heard I didn't think were possible. Now that the smoke's clear, she's out of town. Now, people that she was hanging out with from the Bible study saying that she stole money from them. Why are they saying she stole it? One particular instance, she slept over. The person had the money specifically laid out so that they could do their laundry the next day. It was like a good $50, $100 for their laundry. Why? I don't know if it was a drop off, a couple bags. I don't know. Don't ask me. And it was $50 or more. They had it out. She slept over. They lived alone. They were alone with her. The money was gone. If I leave money on this desk, it's just me and my wife, and the money is gone. The next morning, I'm asking my wife. She claims she didn't take it. Then I got my family member, my cousin, saying like she saw her counting money, a couple hundred to send back to Haiti. She put the money somewhere. She knows that she saw her put the money away. The money was gone. Not only that, then on a personal, I started going over my expenses, and I'm tracking that she was sending her brother tens of dollars, only tens. 10 here, 20 there, 10 there, 20 there. I'm adding it up. It's hundreds of dollars that she was sending to her brother. I'm adding up that she also still had my card on her Uber and was using my card to take Ubers, even after we weren't together. Now it's all adding up. It's wild. Then I started disputing some charges, and she called me. She sounded she was hurt about that. And she was like, did you call to like dispute these charges? I'm like, yeah, I didn't make those. You did without my authorization. Now things are getting, messy. Now she's gone. Her mom texts me. Now looking back and saying that, her mom didn't call me. She texted me. She was like, I have pictures of you physically assaulting my daughter. Now, she was a lighter complexion, and so when we were intimate, there were like hickeys or like bruises, stuff like that. And she was using those things to say that I physically assaulted her. Now I'm at work crashing out. Now I'm like, bro, she got me by the dick and balls. I don't know what to do anymore. Bro, I'm literally in deeper stress because I'm like, oh my gosh, she's gonna paint this however she wants. This goes on to me, like, everyone trying to just support me. Then the latest time was a week before my birthday. She said she already left town. She tells me that she has something for me. I go downstairs at my job. She says she's downstairs. She's outside. I go. She hands me this envelope. And it's basically like, happy birthday. Shorty put a couple $100, like $300 in there. She's like, open it. I want you to open it now. I open it, bro. It's like $300. I'm like, for everything? I was like, again, I'm just like, thank you so much. There's another envelope. She says, open it. Open it. I open it. It's a sonogram and baby A. And I'm looking at her like, so you're saying what exactly? She's like, it's a baby. What does it look like? I was like, okay. The last time we were intimate was the day we got back from the hospital. And of course, sinners backslide. I was just like, this traumatic thing. We ended up like drinking. We were intimate. But from that rendezvous, she basically was trying to say she's pregnant for a fifth time. Then I was just like, all right, you know what? You got it. I went back into my office, and then the stories only got worse. Turns out she went to Georgia to live with a friend. Her friend's mom owned a beauty salon, and in that beauty salon, she would keep the rent in a very safe place that only a few people would know. Of course, she becomes one of the few people she knows. She stole her rent and disappeared. Bro, the updates I was getting was like wild. People were looking for her because she just started stealing money, going on the run, and basically just justifying all her actions. Now, when it comes to those babies, I don't have any kids today. I don't know what happened. To this day, that's always the biggest question. Was she ever pregnant? If she was pregnant, then what happened? Was it actually a miscarriage? It couldn't have been an abortion. But here's the thing. The laughing joke to this day is that everyone swears that they knew. Everyone's like, oh yeah, I knew she wasn't actually pregnant. I was just trying to support you. You had hours of conversation with her. You spoke to her one-on-one. No one knew. Everyone got bamboozled. And the witch part comes into this is because once all that fell and the smoke cleared, never forget. Before I like blocked her off everything, people started sending me some of the stuff she posted in her story, but it was like tarot cards. It was like new age, all these things like occult type of quotes. And pretty much it was like, I got bewitched. To bewitch is to practice that type of spirituality, but not only that, but to have so many people hypnotized to be believing of one thing is wild. A witch is not someone with a pointy hat. A witch is someone by their spiritual gift and what they're tapping into is able to create a mirage and confusion and the opposite of whatever godliness is. And that's exactly why it is a witch. That is what a witch is. It's not a derogatory term, not a slur, not an insult. It's to say that is what she was practicing. And so from that point on, that rebuilding phase, I was 40, 50 pounds overweight. I was a former athlete. I had lost myself so far. It birthed something that God has entrusted me to cultivate today called the daily deposit system. Because each day I was so far from myself. I was like, I just need to take this one day at a time. I restarted my abstinence journey. I recommitted to the Lord, and it just was one day at a time. And so I lost over 40 pounds. I became recommitted to my abstinence journey. By the time I met my wife, I was over 3 years abstinent. I quit dating for a while. I was able to build myself. And everything that I've learned, I put within a system and documented and create the tools and resources to help other people become free. Because after that, I fell into gluttony, right? I didn't watch porn. I wasn't beating my meat, but I fell into fornication. That trap was. And to be free from it, most times people think it's effort or discipline, but I literally spent years. I spent years and years of falling and trying and coming back again to just finally realize that I had it wrong the whole time, that God already gave me the victory the whole time. And my life's work currently is helping you get freed as well. And so when it comes to food, when it comes to pornography, when it comes to lust, the same thing that you heard in my story that kept me locked. I mean, before I met my wife, before I became a coach, before I got into the best shape I've been in, to do what I'm doing now and be able to lead in this capacity, I had to go through those things. And you don't have to go through it long. People can know you to be a more finished, a more polished version of what God intended you to be. The potential doesn't have to stay potential; it can become a reality, and that is my passion. I have full breakdowns of what exactly that looks like and what I do for my clients. And outside of just a paid basis, these resources are meant for transformation. Whether you do need the support on a paid basis to work with me one-on-one, that is great. But even from a support basis, I want all ears to know, I want all eyes to see that through the daily living of the rhythms of our lifestyle, we can find the breakthrough that's already there. It's not so much that we have to grind towards it, it's just being aligned with the Lord in each of those seasons of life. Whether it's much, whether it's little, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And so if you want to learn more about what that looks like, there's going to be an intake form in this bio. If this is YouTube, and if this is Instagram, DM me the word change. If this is TikTok, well, have fun and find me on those platforms. Pray that this blesses you. And I actually have one more. And as much as that experience did scar me and was genuinely traumatizing because of my trust for women significantly decreased, I went through Red Pill community. It also prepared me for everything God has given me today. I visit and relive some of those moments even now, over 5 years later, because that is where the Lord met me to humble me. And it just reminds me that God opposes the proud. And in those moments, I was very proud. I felt like I knew exactly what I wanted for my life. I knew what direction I needed to go in. I had so much trust in myself because of what God put in me, and it was backwards. I was thankful for how talented and gifted God allowed me to be in the jobs and rooms and spaces He gave me, but I forfeited my trust in Him and started putting it in myself because of what He gave me. And once I stopped seeking God and just started seeking His hand, I think that's where humility really needed to come into play. And even looking back, there were so many more opportunities where He was trying to humble me. He was trying to slow me down with having my big brother point out the flaws in my character and my time in the Word, and wanting to elevate too quickly and liking too much attention and fame. Everything I'm building on this platform and on Instagram, I've been able to separate myself from, you can say, the hype and enjoyment of it. I understand, like, there's nothing of my life that's ever going to change because of money, status, or fame. And he had to break me down, and He'll humble me significantly in public to do that. And so God is not humbling you in private; He's going to humble you in public. And if He's not humbling you in public, understand that you still have the opportunity in your privacy to yourself to just humble yourself and to recognize that you're not all that in a bag of chips. That's an altar for the Lord. Talk about demonic altar, but that is a holy altar where God has made His mark known, and I visit that altar to always remember how He had so much grace. I could have had children with someone, not only of that, character, but understand that children bind you for life. My wife now, I don't know if she would have accepted me if I had 2 kids. No, one is a guy, but having 2 children with someone, 2 lives under your responsibility, who I would have been, the type of life I would live, the stress I would have cured, I don't have any idea. Who knows? I might have even stayed with her because of the children, because I did not grow up in a broken home. And even though my parents' marriage wasn't great, they stayed together for the sake of us. And I know how many people say it's better if they just did it separate. The fact that my dad and mom slept in the same bed, even though they were beefing, taught me so much levels of perseverance for marriage, that even though their marriage wasn't the most healthiest and best, it sets an example for me to this day to never give up. They're together to this day, and still their marriage isn't exactly flourishing, but they haven't given up. Of course, it could have been rooted in pride of just the appearance of divorce because he's a pastor, but the idea is perseverance, just staying the route. And so I didn't want to continue that. I had an amazing dad who sacrificed whatever it took to be there for us, and I want to do the same. So I can't imagine what my life would look like. And God had so much mercy to not allow it to get to that extent, and I don't deserve that. There's nothing that I did in that situation I was deserving not to allow it to get to that point. I deserved every bit of it, but He withheld. That's mercy. That's the grace of I don't deserve it. He withheld it, the full extent of all of my consequences to my actions, and I'm able to live this life today. And so, even if He did not do anything else for me, Him doing that was more than enough. It is more than enough, because I was not the man I needed to be for her. I know this whole thing sounds like a horror story of how she showed up and manipulated people and played people and stole. But when I look back, I think of my poor leadership. And what makes me so passionate about what I do now is because there are men in marriages in that same way, but the woman is following the pursuit of a man. And so when I take this accountability, I can't fix her, but I'm often like, that's what poor leadership does. Poor leadership creates messes. Of course, she could have really been on that timing, but what if my leadership was unwavering and strong and rooted in Christ and in that foundation? Would that have wafted her away? Would she just been like, all right, you know what? This ain't it. This ain't for me. But when it gets tested, your door gets knocked on, whatever it's built on. And so I thought I built a solid foundation, and I didn't. And the house came tumbling down. So I had to rebuild. But when I rebuilt it correctly. I rebuilt it on a foundation that does not shift, that does not move, on the solid rock on which I stand. All other ground is sinking sand. And because of that, that solid rock bears fruit till this day. Till this day. And I get to reap the fruits of what what he helped me persevere through to my marriage today. And that is all the glory of God. I love it.